How's it going, guys? So today I wanted to kind of talk to you about my calling into ministry, of why I wanted to be in ministry. So the first thing I want to say is that I would not be the same person I am if it weren't for the people that God placed in Seminole Community Church who poured into my life. The Sunday school teachers, the youth pastors, all of them who just poured into my life, who helped me understand God, understand Jesus, understand His love for me. That is the biggest thing ever that impacted my life. And if it weren't for them, I might not know God. So I'm so thankful for all those people. That is the biggest thing. But I kind of want to bring it back a couple of years, and I kind of want to talk about when I was working at Chick-fil-A. I worked at Chick-fil-A from 2013 to 2015, and I've always wanted to have the mentality of working for God wherever I work. So whatever it is, I want to do my best, no matter how I'm being treated by my boss or by anyone around me. I always want to work my best because I'm working for God. Essentially, I don't want the focus not to be on me. I want the focus to be on my God, right? So I kind of have a funny, kind of gross story. When I was working at Chick-fil-A, there was this job that no one wanted to do. And so they started to approach everyone. No one took it up. No, everyone's like, I don't want to do that. And so they approached me. And I first thought, I don't want to do this. No, please. But I felt a tug. I felt like, God, no, you should do this. And so I decided, I'll do it. And so the job was, there's these two giant cabinets. And this cabinets, we would get raw chicken that was frozen delivered to us during trucks. And so what you would have to do is you have to take the raw chicken, you would place it on a whole bunch of different trays, and you would put the trays in the thaw cabinet. So there'd be tons of chicken in there. And the thing is, when chicken thaws, chicken juice tends to slosh around and hit the sides and hit and go to the bottom and build up into these thaw cabinets. So my job now every Saturday was to clean out both of these chicken juice thaw cabinet things. So I decided, yep, I'll do it. And it was gross, but I enjoyed it because when I started cleaning it, I always had these two thoughts in my head. I'm cleaning this, I'm washing other people's feet so they don't have to do this, just as Jesus washed people's feet. And I'm glad I'm in college right now, right? So those are the two things that were going through my head. And so I always wanted to make sure I worked hard. I worked where I was, and I was working for God. The next thing is, while I was working at Chick-fil-A, there was this to-do list. There's a list that every single kitchen worker had to do. There was something that they had to do. It was, you could make milk wash, you could take out the trash, you could wash the dishes, whatever it is, you were assigned to a job that had to be done by the end of the day. And so I started looking at the list. I wanted to still serve all my coworkers, and so I started to see if I could knock out one or two of my coworkers' things on the list. So I started doing that, and after the next day, my friend, when I got there, he did my job, and so I was like, whoa! So I did someone else's job, and then he started doing some other people's jobs, and it was really cool because you could kind of see the chemistry of the kitchen. Just kind of mend together, and we were a team. I loved working with my Chick-fil-A team. It was really, really cool. And so our team, as the day crew, we started doing everyone's jobs, and we started even doing night crew. They had some prep stuff that we would start doing right before they come in, and they would be like, whoa, and they would start cleaning stuff for us. And it was really cool to see that. I loved working at Chick-fil-A, and I enjoyed it, but I knew that God had a calling. God had something bigger in mind for me in my life. And yes, I enjoyed working at Chick-fil-A. I enjoyed my team, but at the end of the day, you're just putting out a chicken sandwich, right? So in January, during this time, in January 2015, I felt we all went to Passion. And there's a speaker there, Christine Kane, who spoke. And she spoke really to me. God spoke through her to me. I don't know. I love my job at Chick-fil-A, but I feel like I'm being called to more, but I don't know what it is. And Christine Caine said this: if you want to do something extraordinary, then you're going to have to put in the hard work where no one else wants to. And then she went on. She started talking about the story of Elisha. One of the stories of Elisha. Elisha, he was just an ordinary dude. He was just waiting for his purpose. His family owned a plowing business that was run by their servants, right? So Elisha could have just waited for his purpose. He knew God had a purpose for him. He could have just waited, sat back, and done nothing. But instead, he chose to plow with his servants. He chose to do the dirty work. He chose to work with his workers. And then Christine said that we all need to pick up our plows wherever we are, even if it's not where we want to be right now, because it could lead us to where we want to be, right? So then she said that Elijah, I don't know why they have Elijah and Elisha in the same story, God. Like, really? Like, you're just making things really confusing. I'm just kidding, but kind of being serious. So Elijah, a prophet, found Elisha plowing in the fields. And Elijah told Elisha that he was going to teach him eventually enough to replace Elijah as the new prophet. So Elisha, at that moment, instantly dropped his plow and followed his new mentor, Elijah. And then Christine said that you need to dig deep where you are right now. But when your time comes, when your Elijah comes, that you need to drop your plow and run towards it. And at that very point, I felt God kind of calling me to quit my job at Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A never should have let me go to Passion. I felt like I've done the hard work. I felt like I've picked up my plow and I worked really hard at Chick-fil-A. But now I felt like God was calling me to a bigger calling, to possibly ministry. I thought it's either ministry or something else. I really feel God calling me. And since then, there have been so many different things that affirmed this calling. One thing is I was forced to take a class. It was my last semester at UCF for my marketing degree. And they made me take a 1 credit hour class because of something that happened. And that class, the whole class was about how are you going to be successful in school. And I thought, really? I'm in my last semester. I've already been successful in school. I'm almost done. Why do I need to take this class? But I think God used this class to speak to me, to kind of get pushed, like, hey, you need to be in ministry, right? And they had us take a couple tests, 2 tests. The first one, I knew. I took the Myers-Briggs test. It's and I already knew what I was. I was an INFJ. And that's the rarest personality. And I thought, okay, that's cool. I already know that. But the next test that I took, I don't remember what it's called, but it basically helps you find a career path that fits you. It takes everything and says, hey, this is the career path that fits what you have typed in for the questions. And so the thing that God spoke to me as soon as I hit submit, I wasn't thinking much about it. I hit submit, and I was like, whoa. And the top careers that popped up for me was religious worker, musician, teacher, and clergy. Those were the 4 things that popped up. And I was like, man, maybe God is calling me to ministry, right? After I got my marketing degree, I started to talk to Pastor Rich and my dad. And the biggest problem for me was I didn't want to work for God for money, right? I wanted to donate my time, and I wanted to donate everything that I did for him. But Rich put it really well, is that, hey, you could look at the person who volunteers the most. You can look at what they're doing, but most people still have to work, right? You still have to get money. You still have to pay the bills. So if you were able to use all your time, all your efforts for the ministry of God, would you? I said, yeah. And so that really opened my eyes. And with everything that came to be, I kind of thought, man, God is calling me to ministry. God God used Christine Kane. God used the people at our church. God used that test. God used Rich to kind of call me into ministry. But kind of the main point that I want to give you guys is that we are all called to ministry. Where you are at right now, where are you plowing your fields? If you feel like you're not where God's calling you to be, that's okay. But God has placed you in a place where you are right now, and God wants you to plow like Elisha plowed in the fields. God wants you to work where you are right now, because God does have a calling, and God can use those things for you. And when the time is right, God's going to have you drop your plow and work for Him and be in ministry. So just because you aren't a pastor and you don't work in ministry doesn't mean that you can work in ministry, because we all are called to ministry. So that's kind of my calling to ministry. So thank you guys so much for watching.